for starters, again, I'm Sean O'Connell. I just came over to the sheriff's office. As of July, I just recently retired from the Fremont Police while I was a detective. I got like 16 years as a detective over there.
Right.
And retired, 25 years of service, and jumped on board in July. Took about 3 to 4 days off with retirement and came to work as a detective for the sheriff's office for Sandusky County. So I wasn't here when this happened back in March.
Right.
Was made aware of it after that had happened because Captain Meg at the time brought it to my attention he had a cell phone that he wanted to retrieve some information off, and he came to our agency at that time and collected a video that I was able to download off the phone for him. So that's my involvement initially, and obviously I was asked by our sheriff, Kyle Overmeyer, to jump on board and assist Dr. Wookie with this.
Okay.
So here we are today.
Just so I understand, are you're acting under the direction, obviously, of Sheriff Overmeyer, but also under the direction of Dr. Wookie?
I believe I'm probably, if I had to make an educated guess, I'd probably working more for Dr. Wookie because he's
Right.
a coroner's inquest.
Right.
But I represent the sheriff's office. Obviously, this matter was investigated by our agency initially back in March. I have since looked at it. We spent a lot of time today trying to break it down and looking at it from page by page. Spent a little time yesterday with Tom Sturwall, the prosecutor, as well as Dr. Wookie at the prosecutor's office to try to get a feel what happened, what did not happen, what needs to be done, what not needs to be done, and so forth. So we took it upon ourselves today, and I was able to obtain the actual investigation itself conducted by Captain Maggott, and received some documentation from Mr. Sturwall, and you know, since then we kind of went through it, and I've taken some notes here that I'll share with you that I think that we need to do and need to continue to run with. And there's a lot of unanswered questions right now that I've seen that I think that need to be resolved and clarified.
Okay, we certainly agree with that. But I'll just let you take the lead, and we'll freely jump in. I'm going to invite Mike and Shannon to speak their piece. They don't. I'm not here, just to set the record straight, that I'm not here to tell them what not to answer or answer.
I understand.
There's an open invitation to say whatever you want to say.
I appreciate you guys doing what you're doing. Just out of curiosity, what happened to Jim Consolo?
Jim Consolo, Dr. Wookie requested, I believe, Jim Consolo, because I think Jim Consolo, he's one of our detectives. Jim Consolo had worked with Dr. Wookie in the past on another coroner's inquest. Jim Consolo at the last minute backed out.
Can you tell me why?
I don't know the specifics because I don't have that relationship with Jim Consolo, unfortunately. That's a question you almost have to ask him. I think it has something to do that he feels personally that whatever decision Jim Consolo makes may not be the right decision based on what the coroner may agree with or not agree with, what the agency may agree with, what not agree with, and so forth. There's some controversy there between Jim Consolo, the sheriff's office, not to mention other agencies outside the sheriff's office that need to be addressed, that have been addressed, that are being addressed, and whatnot. So personally, Sean O'Connell's opinion is I think it's best that Jim Consolo not have a hand in this because I don't think he'll be biased towards this investigation. He's already made a comment, allegedly, and I use the word loosely, that he's calling it a homicide right off the bat, and he hasn't even looked into this case from what I know of. He's already calling it a homicide. I'm not here to say it is a homicide. I'm not here to say that it's not a homicide.
go ahead, I'm not going to enter.
Yeah.
Or in our file that you've got.
All I want to do is be an outsider looking in. If I could back up time, I would, and come into this investigation and handle it like I've handled other investigations like this in the past with the Fremont Police. This isn't my first type of case associated with a situation like this, and it probably won't be my last. Are there things I would have done differently? Yes.
And we understand that.
But only because how the road handles things is not comparable to how detectives handle things. I know what to do, they don't know what to do. They know what to do when it comes to a traffic crash, I don't know what to do when it comes to a traffic crash, and so forth. Again, in looking at this within the last 24 hours, I see some inconsistencies. I see inconsistencies in regards to statements that were made at the time that the officers were on scene, from the time when Bill Kaiser interviewed some of these witnesses, from one where she made a statement, I believe, in your office, Brittany Bowers. You know, I just read something in an email that I didn't read anywhere else other than the email that kind of puzzles me a little bit as far as the gun being cocked and whatnot. So it's going to be my goal, if you will, to get in there and try to find out why there's so many inconsistencies. Because from experience investigating cases like this, I've seen where, as an investigator, you got to be persistent. You can't talk to them once and just assume that what they're telling you is the truth. You have to go back, whether they're a victim or whether they're a witness, and talk to them a couple different times to see if their stories are consistent with each other. If they're telling you the truth, they're going to be consistent, whether you talk to them 10 times or whether you talk to them 20 times. If they're not being truthful, you're going to start seeing those inconsistencies, because a liar is not going to remember what they told you the first time and then what they're telling you 6 or 7 months down the road from now. Their story is not going to be consistency. And I find from experience that's one way that you can kind of trip them up and get them to come truth with the matter, because now you start bringing the inconsistencies out onto the table and you ask them why, and so forth.
We appreciate your forthrightness, and we're going to act the same way toward you guys here today. Anything we say, there's a lot more to tell than has been in the paper, has been in, you mentioned Brittany's statement. There's a lot more that we'll gladly share with you today. We're not here to accuse anybody of anything.
I understand that.
I want to, whether any of the kids or anybody involved in this whole thing. But like you just said, officer, I mean, there are all these inconsistencies, and that's what we're looking for. Just as we've constantly or consistently said from the beginning, just let's get to the heart of this and let's get to the truth.
Absolutely.
I don't want these guys as the parents to see this, but one of the most glaring things that just is like in your face inconsistency, this is, you have this, this is your photo.
Right.
And you know, we're talking about a right-handed individual, and is that possible? Yes. Is that likely? That's a self-inflicted gunshot wound? I think you'll agree with me. I don't think so.
And I will to an extent. You know, from what I'm reading in some of the reports that I have, is he may have been on the phone, he may not have been on the phone at the time of the shooting. Go ahead.
Can we interject? And actually, I'm going to turn to Mike, because I know what Mike's going to say. We know, we had this conversation about a week ago right here in this room. We are almost positive he was not on the phone. It might have, he may have hung up a second before, but he wasn't on the phone at that moment until the officers left.
We have his phone.
Right.
His phone was retrieved from his...
Right, I understand. Yeah, because I actually looked at the phone at one point.
Yeah.
When I was with Fremont Police. And we do have his phone records.
Yeah, when it was packaged at the scene, it was removed from his right pocket. I mean, it's...
Right. Yeah, but those are some of the inconsistencies that I believe some of the witnesses may have mentioned at one time or another that we need to sort out for sure.
Yeah. Had he been on the phone, and I mean, the phone would have been
well, it's true, absolutely. There would have been blood on the phone and so forth to indicate that, yeah, more than likely. And I'm not here to dispute that by any means. But is it uncommon for him to have been on the phone and have the gun in his left hand with the intent that he puts the gun in his pocket and he still has the gun in his left hand at one point? That's one of the things I'm going to try to clarify from speaking to the witnesses.
The most important thing, and I did email you the autopsy report. I don't know if I mentioned this to you on the phone, but you know, as you saw there, I thought the one key finding for me anyway was that Dr. Wecht had determined that the trajectory of the bullet was at a slightly downward angle. Now, you know, the witnesses have Jake standing, you know, standing up, apparently just maybe hanging up the phone, and then all of a sudden.
Well, there's one witness that actually has him sitting down on the floor.
Brittany, I think at one point, Brittany, there was some testimony that's conflicting.
Then you got one witness that has him maybe even sitting on the stool.
It depends on when you if you look at their statements, their written statements in March, and then it depends on when you look 6 months later when Bill.
Exactly, and those are some of the inconsistencies that I'm seeing. Now I know Brittany and I know Lewis were given polygraphs, and they passed the polygraphs. I'm sure you know how polygraphs work. They consist of 10 questions. 2 of the questions are irrelevant. 4 of the questions are control type questions. The other 4 questions pertain to the investigation in itself. You had asked for a copy of that.
Yeah, I think I got a call to say no from Eric.
I don't know.
From the Attorney General's office?
Yeah, from Eric, I forget his last name, but anyway, he called, a very nice guy, and he said they were going to put everything on a disc and send it to me overnight, and I'd have it by Friday.
Since you asked about the polygraph, I have the report that indicates who was polygraphed and what the conclusion was of that polygraph.
Yeah, I've got that too.
You do have that, okay.
Yeah, so do I.
Typically that's all we ever get. Now there's been cases I've worked in the past where I've asked for the actual questions that were asked, just so I have them in my file.
I've got them.
Oh, you've got those questions?
Yeah, we can give that to you right
See, I don't even have it. Well, they're since being faxed to me.
I don't know.
On that point, I mean, it's just, we could spend all afternoon talking about the just curious nature of this whole thing is, you know, the one almost unbelievable to me, one thing that wasn't asked was whether of these 2 kids was whether Jake shot himself. It said, did you shoot Jake? We'll give you the list of the questions.
Yeah, I haven't seen those questions.
And did you fire the gun at Jake? And did you fire the gun in the house? Those are the 3 relevant questions.
Okay.
And Brittany, by the way, has shown up at their house at least once or twice after various things have been in the paper, and she seems very riled up, let's put it that way. And on one occasion, she said that as far as the polygraph is concerned, that well, Shannon, I don't want to misspeak on this. Mike, what did Brittany say about the polygraph?
That they were asked 8 to 10 questions. 4 of them she got to pick herself, but they had to be relevant questions.
Now, I'm not a polygraph expert, but I have done enough reading on this that you never do that.
And I've never seen that done, and I never heard of that done.
Well, I called him after I got the result.
Steven Stuck showed it.
He was highly upset that I called him.
I can see why he would be. Steve is a guy that we've used for 20-some years.
Only to ask him one question. That, I mean, you see the front page of the. You have the the page of the result page.
Yeah, I got it somewhere in there.
You see where it says that they asked Jake if they shot him? This page. Right here.
Yeah, his final report. Yeah. Yes.
Well, this is a result, I guess. Right in front of it, I wanted to ask him, what does pre-test information mean? these are the questions that were asked before, what pre-test. I asked Brittany, I said, when they asked you this, were you hooked up? She told me no.
Okay. I can explain to you how a polygraph works because I use the polygraph multiple times when it comes to investigations. I do believe in the polygraph. I just use it as an investigative type tool. Steve Staccioli, in my opinion, is very good at what he does.
Yeah, you sent me his resume.
What's that?
He sent me his resume.
Yeah. He's been doing it for a long time. To take a polygraph, it's usually about a 3.5 hour process.
That's what she said.
And they start out by Steve has a one-to-one conversation with them at a table, and they just get to know each other. They have a questionnaire that needs to be filled out.
What is this? Since you do it.
Okay. This I have not seen.
Okay.
Inconclusive.
It's a result to the questions.
Okay. Let me finish and I'll try to answer that, but I don't know if I can. But what Steve does when he does the polygraph, not only is it his mission to do the polygraph, but a lot of times we use Steve as a tool, as a means of doing the interview for us. A lot of times Steve has gotten the answers that we're looking for prior to them having to take the polygraph. He asks them straight up, did you do it? Did you not do it? You know, he starts trying to get a feel whether or not they're going to pass it, they're going to flunk it, and so forth. Sometimes he gets to the point where he's not sure what to think, so he proceeds with the polygraph. But then there's been plenty of times where the person has confessed prior to even getting hooked up to the machine. There's been times where the person has taken a polygraph, has flunked the polygraph, Steve goes back and re-interviews them, and then they come clean with it and whatnot. So it's only a tool that we use to our advantage. It's admissible in court unless both parties agree to it and whatnot.
We don't get too hung up on it, but again, I'll just say that, well, first of all, I think you're agreeing with me that, that if in fact he did, as Brittany herself, said that he went over the questions with her ahead of time. I mean,
they do. He goes over the 10 questions. Okay. She will know, anybody will know what questions are going to be asked, because the same 10 questions are asked in a series of 3 tests. They're just kind of reversed or mixed up. So she knows, look, these are the questions I'm going to ask you. So she knows what she's going to be asked, because she's going to get asked 3 times. You're asked the first 10 questions, then the test is complete.
Okay.
And then the machine prints out the results. Then he hooks you up again, he asks you the same 10 questions another time.
Is a witness usually allowed to pick out their own questions?
They don't pick out their own. I would have to dispute that. I mean, I wasn't there. I've never seen that done before.
Isn't this all, from my reading, it says that the whole process should be at least taped by audio tape. Isn't that typical?
No, they don't tape them. They allow the officer that's working the case to sit into an adjoining room and observe, but it's not actually recorded. If it's recorded, what's that?
Which would have been Bill?
Yeah, Bill would have been privileged to, if he wanted to sit there and watch the interview, watch the polygraph, watch the questions be asked from the very beginning to the very end. But it's never recorded.
He told me.
And I can't speak on behalf of BCI, but if I had to make an educated guess, I'd have to say it's their policy that they not do that. They do not record it audio or video. We need to sit there and just observe and hear what's being said.
I'm not trying to pin you down when I ask.
No, I'm not taking it that way.
In the interest of just trying to share our information and move this along. I mean, don't you find it surprising that, the big question wasn't even asked? I mean, did Jake shoot himself?
Yeah, again, I don't know what questions were asked. So, but that would be an important question, absolutely.
Yeah. Here you go. We'll give you a copy of this. In fact, Beth or Laura would.
Yeah. Do you live in the United States? That's a control question.
Right.
Did Larry Long personally sell you the ammunition for that gun? They're thinking, who in the hell is Larry Long?
Yeah.
But that's just an irrelevant question.
Right.
Because if they answer, No.
You're right.
There is no Larry Long.
Right.
Did you ever shoot the gun at Jacob? Did you shoot Jacob? When Jacob was shot, were there more than 4 people in the house? Did you personally pay your Larry Long? There's another same question. Did you fire that gun in the house?
That gun, that
Yeah, why did they always say that? I'm sorry, but that's
I caught my attention
intrigued me
to
ever
that
since I
gun,
started looking
that
at
gun,
this.
that gun. I know.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I mean, I guess that's a question for Steve Steckshody as far as how he came up with these questions.
It always says that gun.
Again, if I had to make an educated guess, he probably sat down with Bill Kaiser and they discussed what questions need to be asked, because typically that's how it's done with Steve Steckshody.
That's how he had to get his information on what to ask.
It is. Not only that, but a report of some sort would have been forwarded to Steve Steckshody at one point as
Yeah,
well.
it's in there. What do you think?
Speaking of Bill Kaiser, you know that he chased Beth right there at the end of the table off his
Oh, were you the
property.
one that went up to his house?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's fun to marry
And he had
I see
two
that.
choice words
Yes.
for her, then he had to try to have her arrested
Yeah,
for criminal trespassing.
Yeah.
I saw that.
I'm sure my
I get
charges are
it. Yeah.
done, so.
I mean, if I'm going to do a polygraph in reference to this investigation, that'd be one of the questions I'd want to ask. Did you shoot?
And I'm pretty, as I recall, through Steyerwalt, because I don't believe I ever talked to Kaiser before he issued his report. I didn't even know of his involvement. He was brought in by Tom Steyerwalt, who I was at that time.
He's he's a retired
he's there.
detective from the sheriff's office, and
But
It's from the prosecutor's office.
But
now he is.
I'm
yeah.
almost positive, and I thought maybe Mike, you had asked directly of Steyerwalt, or maybe you, Shannon, that, you know, it's another thing. I mean, we asked to be consulted on this
To help
because we
pick
have
out the
the
questions.
information that, not all of it that we have now, but we had a lot of information that we were more than willing to share with Steyerwalt's office, and we asked specifically, can we talk to whoever's going to be doing this, and so we can give you information about.
Sure.
We're not polygraph experts, that's
Right.
for sure.
Right.
But
Right.
but no, I mean, it was all set up and done outside our knowledge.
Well, if you look at what he sent the BCI, he
Yeah.
sent him his report, Bill's report. But he only sent him 2 pages that he had to do with Brittany.
Okay.
He sent him this page. This is very important, by the way.
I just got a copy of his report today,
Okay.
and Zach
Well,
and I
pay
sat down
attention.
and
Pay attention when you look
Right
at
there.
the polygraph, because he starts off with this page, what he's actually sending that has regards to do with Brittany and Will.
Okay, this is
This is Bill's report. This
Yep.
tells what he's
Right.
sending them.
Right.
That's a fax cover sheet.
right.
He sends it says starts out on June 21st. Is it word for word? Flip to the next page. What's that say?
Lewis denied.
Okay, we have to go back. That's not part of Brittany's. He skips it and goes back to Lewis's report. He goes what he reports on Lewis. This has to do with Will. This is the end of Lou's.
Lewis, so there's.
This is the end of Will's.
So
It's a broken up report, is what it is.
Sure.
Yeah.
But pay attention to the second page of when he's talking about Brittany. This is on June 21st. This is when he got a hold of Brittany. The second page of Brittany. Here, read that, Shannon. I don't have my glasses.
Second page was,
This paragraph.
Mhm.
yeah, Bowers places Lewis in a different position than
Yeah.
Lewis placed himself.
And we noted
You
that.
picked up on that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I got that.
Well,
right
he doesn't. He
Didn't
doesn't
give
send.
that
He doesn't
to the
send that. to
polygraph
the-
examiner.
Okay. But he goes on to finish explaining Lewis places himself in a different or
Yeah.
Lewis. All right. Now
Yeah.
flip back to what he sent him on Will. The back. You had to go all
the way back here?
Yep. To where the paperwork that he sends him Will. He sends him that same page twice.
So what is your point on that?
That he's pointing out that Will is claiming that he didn't. I just think I don't understand why he said
Yeah.
that same page twice to, like he's trying to convince them down there.
Yeah.
I mean, once it had nothing to do with Brittany. He was writing about Will in his original report.
Right.
And then he sends that same page twice down there to the BCI.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what BCI received.
That is what they received.
Okay,
that's what they sent me.
Not here to dispute that, but I can tell you that's not what we have. I mean, maybe his report wasn't complete at that time when he did polygraphs. I don't know.
This is what you got from Columbus.
Yeah, this is. And again, we can give you. We have this, right, Laura?
Yeah. That is what you have.
I got that. Just so you know. Let's see. When was it? Last Friday? I think it was last Friday.
Date should be on it.
I got that last Friday morning from the AG's office, Stephen Schumacher.
The email one time.
Yeah.
One last point.
And then Steve Schumacher down there, deputy director, I guess his title was deputy director of law enforcement at the AG's office. He's the guy I've been talking about getting the complete polygraph, report, and I mean, I said all the records, and then I got that last Friday, and then he wrote to me and said, well, he just described it as some charts. I guess that's the long roll.
It is, yeah, and unless you know what you're looking at, you're not going to understand.
I know,
sure.
I know.
Yeah.
Sure. That's why I'm asking you.
I don't understand those charts.
All right, but
I mean, have I seen them? Oh yeah. I mean, Steve sexually he'll show me a chart. I'll just agree with him.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, my only concern is, did he pass or did he not pass?
Yeah, I know. Okay.
And I have, if Steve says he passed, I have to assume that he passed.
Yeah.
You know, that's where I get involved.
I know Bill mentioned to Mike that Will's breathing was very labored during certain questions.
And what is that one notation says inconsistent?
All right.
Too?
This is Brittany's.
Mm-hmm.
Which has to do with those questions. It's the same page. It's the same system.
Right.
It's the same system. This white.
Right.
It has with the actual questions that you just read before. Now you flip back and look at Will's.
Well,
it's not there, is it?
No, it's not.
Will's sheet's not here?
No.
Okay.
It's not there.
And maybe you'll be getting that here by Friday.
Maybe.
Yeah. This stuff I haven't seen. This stuff I don't get. I
See
get.
why we're just a little suspicious.
No, I
of what's
understand.
going on, guys.
Yeah.
I mean,
this
is the kind of stuff that we've been going up
I
against.
understand.
It's
for what it's worth. I wouldn't get too suspicious if the report, meaning pertaining to the BCI reports. If the
I
BCI
tried to have a civil conversation with them back.
Steve?
Yeah,
okay.
back. A long time ago.
Sometimes I can't have a civil conversation with them.
Well,
Steve is setting this.
This is where we're at with it.
Okay, and I understand your concern. And believe it or not, I'm here to help you guys just as much as I'm here to help everybody else.
I have the same hope that I had when I went to Starwalt, and he said, I'm going to put an investigator on it.
Okay.
I have the same hope right now.
I understand. I know where you're coming from. I truly do. All I can ask out of you is just give me the opportunity. If you're not happy with my results, I respect that. But I can assure you I'll give it 110%. That's just my caliber. If you ask anybody that knows who Sean O'Connell is as a detective, you're going to find out that he's very persistent, very a bulldog.
Good.
And, this is a guy that you want to do the job. And here I be.
That's fabulous. But please understand that Bill Kaiser said the same thing to us sitting in his office, that he would get subpoenas, he would have all three of those kids, he would round them up.
Sure.
He would.
What is that inconclusive?
That would indicate to me, if I get a polygraph test coming back at inconclusive, that he doesn't know if they're telling the truth or they're lying.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
Bill had said that the results would take approximately a week to 2 weeks.
And that's on my phone recording. You should probably hear that, Dan.
And then
I had to build.
We were called the next day.
Yeah.
The very next day.
And the explanation for that, for what it's worth, is when I do a polygraph, I know that very moment whether or not they passed or failed. Officially, I don't get the paperwork probably within a week. until a report is actually generated. Because when a polygraph examiner does the
I have 2
examination,
copies of that if you want to keep that.
Is this?
they have another polygraph examiner look at the charts to make sure that they're both on the same page, they're in agreement by looking, a polygraph examiner can look at the wavy chart and see if the person was deceptive or not deceptive. And that's how they come to the conclusion, either they're being truthful or not too truthful, or you just can't tell, inconclusive.
There you go, that's for you.
Okay, appreciate it. Once they look at the charts and both, it could be anywhere between 2 or 3 polygraph examiners, once they look at it and they're all in agreement that this person has told the truth or this person hasn't told the truth or we just don't know, then they generate the report, which you have. It's just a 1-page report, and attached to that report is his resume.
Yeah, and that's what I got.
Yeah, and that's all I ever get. Sometimes I'll ask for the questions, sometimes I don't. It depends upon the investigation itself. Just so I just, sometimes if I have a major case file like I got going right now, I'd kind of like to have those questions in my file so I know what questions were asked. And I do have those questions. They're probably back on my fax machine as when we get back.
And do you know why? I mean, there was a third young person there, Evan Neidler.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that Bill never even talked to.
It's my understanding in talking with Bill today, he couldn't find him.
All right, this bothers me. This bothers me too.
Because Evan has shown up at their house many times.
Okay, and Evan's somebody I want to obviously talk to.
And how come Bill can't find Evan? Subpoenas go out.
Mm-hmm.
Beth gets freaked out. Dan calls a Richland County retired detective sheriff, whatever.
Yeah.
He goes out the very next day and subpoenas Evan, finds him right away, comes from out of town.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and Bill's been looking for him all summer long.
That's a question for Bill.
Something's not right here, guys.
Yeah.
You
I don't know. I can't answer on Bill's.
Us.
They were trying to bring this to closure to this because it's a bad situation all the way through, and all we want is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
All we want is the truth. Jake's name cleared, a death certificate fixed. The 2 things that we asked for all along. We didn't want to have to dig our son up.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't want to have to do any of this. This is what I got originally from him, and that's where when I called him, just wanted him to answer a simple question.
And this is all typically this is what I would get as well.
I got that in his resume at the end.
Yeah, and that's again,
He was highly upset I called him.
Yeah.
And he never answered me.
Yeah, I questions for Steve Stachiotti, questions for Bill Kaiser. I can't really truly answer on their behalf.
From my standpoint, I was
Stonewall,
I'll use that word. I've been calling Dr. Wookie after I dealt with the sheriff's department, and after I think then I went to talk to Starwalt, but then I thought, well, I'm going to try Wookie, and in fact, Beth was my witness down there. For about 2 weeks, we were calling him about every day.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've seen all the emails.
And not a return phone call.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah, I feel your pain, I truly do. But it wouldn't be fair for me to answer on their behalf.
I know.
I mean, those are questions that you have.
We're pointing out concerns.
All I'm asking is, give me the opportunity to run with this and try to make the determination on what I can figure out what truly happened. And I'll go over here in a minute where I think I need to harp on the heaviest and why I need to do that. From reading the initial police report that our department made, I was able to get some information, an idea what had happened.
Right.
Let's see, what's that?
Which I should have.
Yeah, I have that here somewhere as well. But
envelope, I think.
No, I think we're running out of the envelopes. I think I got it in reverse order.
You're talking about Meggett's report?
Yes.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what you have.
I asked for Meggett's report. That better be Meggett's report.
No, you don't have it all.
Really?
I can tell you that right now. and I'll give it to you, but you don't have it all. Depend upon when you ask for it.
Really? I asked for it when.
When did you ask for it?
When he quit the case.
When did he quit the case?
When did he quit the case?
What's your idea? Yeah, I mean, a lot of these reports.
I can tell you right when he quit the case.
You may have one report generated on Monday, and then come Friday, there may be more added to that report.
Yeah, I understand. I'm pretty sure this is all I've got, and I entered this whole situation 2 months after the fact, and I got it on a disc, I guess, and this is part of it. I don't think, this is all I've seen.
Me and my son went to get his report. Actually, we ended up talking to him.
I am not going to keep anything from you, and I'm not implying that anybody has purposely kept things from you. I'm going to cooperate because cooperation goes a long ways. That's how you solve cases.
That.
This is the report that we printed off on the 6th, which was what, yesterday. You probably have the first couple pages, but you probably don't have these pages.
No.
And these are, and what Captain Maggott did is, Captain Maggott has other responsibilities other than this particular case.
There ain't no other responsibility that he has more important to me than this one that I've been.
No, and I understand where you're coming from, but realistically, he has other responsibilities. He has a shift to run. He has other calls he has to respond to and whatnot, just like I do as well. But we as officers, we try to find the time. We learn to prioritize our cases and put other cases off and pick the cases that need to be worked right now, because if you don't work it now, you're going to lose that opportunity to track down that witness, collect that evidence and whatnot. But what he did throughout, from what I can read, is as he continued to march with what he thought he was doing right, he would just go back in and then document it, and that's what I have here. And if you want to make a copy of this,
sure,
you can go ahead.
That's what you'd run a couple copies if you don't mind.
Can I get one of them, Dan?
Was that?
They got that first sheet that's got social security numbers and stuff on it.
I have all the kids' social security numbers.
As far as our aspect, we're not supposed to give out that stuff. So
But I'll.
But you have the front copy. That's just the one with the blacked out.
It's already in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not.
That's fine.
That's what is that sheet just what we've already? I think that
You probably have these first 2 pages.
I think that's what we have.
This is what they call the offense report and calls of service.
They just usually black out the social security number.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's the same. That should be the same.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't need that.
You can have that then.
Thank you.
This is, I think, just extra copies of what we had actually. This is what you got right here originally. This is when somebody comes in and asks for a records, or not a records clerk, but a request for a report of some sort. This is all you're going to typically get. Anything of real importance goes on to another supplement. On cases, when I work them, I don't put all the pertinent stuff on this sheet. I put it in a Word file and then I throw it in my case file, and that's where it stays. It's not really made available to the public until the public is made aware that, oh, you know what, this does exist, maybe I ought to ask for it and so forth. I don't volunteer that information.
I did ask for it.
Okay. And maybe that portion of it wasn't done at that time. I can't speak on his behalf, but
yeah, that's fine.
But we're giving it to you now.
I appreciate that.
Just like I'll give you whatever I start to document. So.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say I'll go over my concerns and what I think we need to do. I took some notes here. One of the things I need to do is it's my understanding the house is now vacant and it's up for sale.
It's not vacant.
It's not vacant? Is
No.
there somebody living there?
Yes. It's,
Okay.
We've gotten the approval from first of all, you have to know, Brittany, who I interviewed with Laura, we did not record her statement, but Laura was there just taking notes, and again, there's some inconsistencies. I won't go into that right now, but but Brittany Bowers is Kaylee's sister. Kaylee is the mother of Jake's child.
Okay.
Kaylee and her child live with Mike and Shannon.
Got it.
Their mother is what's her name?
Kaylee. Their mother, Carrie.
Brittany lives with her mother, Carrie, and that was where the shooting took place in that house, which I understand she owns, and maybe it's up for sale. But we had gotten I had asked Shannon to call the mom about a month ago and ask if she'd have any problem if we went in and we didn't done this. I don't want to go near, touching, what could be a crime scene.
Is the furniture still there?
No, the furniture's gone.
It's all gone. Okay.
The boyfriend, the ex-boyfriend, I guess, cleaned the whole place up. The bullet's still there.
Yeah.
So
what I want to do is, first of all, I want to go back into time if we can, and I want to get there and I want to photograph the exterior. I want to go in. I want to panorama the interior. I want to be able to not only document by means of a drawing, but I want to be able to look at the photographs and lay it out so we can clearly understand what rooms are adjoining to what rooms and whatnot. And then I want to be able to locate where the projectile went to. I believe it's in the ceiling.
Yep, I can show you right where it's at.
Okay, and I want to take some measurements and then retrieve that bullet. And I'm assuming it's going to probably be the same type of caliber that came out of that gun, which appears to be, what, 357?
Yep.
Was it loaded with 357 rounds or 38 plus Ps, if you know?
I have the same casings. He's got extra shells still in his safe.
Okay.
I just don't know if they're the same casings that you folks have down there. The gun still exists, right?
Yeah, we still have the gun. We have the casings that were collected. And some of the stuff went back to you, like the phone, I believe, correct?
The phone. What about the holster?
I believe we still have it. If it didn't go back to, if it was collected and didn't go back to you, then we still have it. Okay.
What else do you guys have down there?
I don't know, to be honest with you. All I can tell you is whatever was collected, nothing got destroyed. That's my understanding from talking with Captain Maggot.
What about the white bucket?
I don't know. I didn't see anything about a white bucket. What's the relevancy about a white bucket?
Well, if you read the reports, they were shooting at a white bucket out back, supposedly.
Okay. All right. Yeah. That, I mean, that's important. That's good to know. I don't think they took a white bucket.
Were they really shooting at a white bucket?
Well, I don't know. What they were, I don't know. That's a good question. But what I want to do is go back into the house and collect and document and photograph what I can collect, document, and photograph, and then go from there. Then I want to go back. I want to re-interview the witnesses: Evan Neidler, William Lewis, and Brittany Bowers. Those were the four. And then I read somewhere where a Keegan subject may have been there or not.
That really got messed up.
If you look at Bill's report, it's wrong.
Okay. It's actually noted in Captain Maggot's report, and you'll see it. It's noted, his name came into play.
recorded our initial interview.
Well, maybe you should wait for Dan with his depositions, or I don't know.
Yeah, no, let's talk now.
Yeah, if you got the recording from Bill.
I do not have a recording from Bill at this point. He said he'll get me everything tomorrow.
Okay, or his notes that he took when me and Shannon were there. He will have wrote down on his notes or in that recording where it's not Matt Keegan, it's Cullen Keegan. But in his report that he wrote up, his final report, he states Matt Keegan, which is all wrong. Even in the polygraph test, they ask him if it's Matt Keegan.
Well, we had asked Captain Maggot and we had asked Bill Kaiser both to visit this farm on Route 6.
Balda Farm.
The Balda Farm.
Where this whole story started.
Right, and they both said that they would, and neither one did.
They still don't know, not the Sandusky County Sheriff's Department, not the Sandusky County Prosecutor. No one knows how many kids were really at that house. No one knows what's happened today. No one knows how many people were there because they never investigated it.
So,
they never went to the Balda Farm.
Okay. So are we thinking that there were more than just Bowers and?
I don't know what happened at the house. I don't know
We
how
were
many
told,
people.
this Cullen Keegan's father told the Baldoffs, whom he works for, that his son was at that house his son was at that house. Maybe it was 3 hours before, or maybe it was then.
Captain Meggett went and talked to this kid.
When we heard Matt Keegan, there are 2 Matt Keegans.
There happens to be 2 people
There is
with the
a
same
20-year-old
name.
Matt Keegan and there is a 40-year-old Matt Keegan. The
The 40-year-old
40-year-old is
works
the
at the
father
Baldoff
of Cullen.
Okay.
The 40-year-old works at the Baldoff farm.
He never went there and checked it out.
Neither one did. And they
Bill
both
or-
said that they were going to.
And in
but-
Bill's report,
And maybe it's irrelevant, but it should be checked out.
No, and I agree. I mean, it's important to find out who all there, who are your potential witnesses and suspects, if you will.
honestly, we don't know what happened at that.
We don't. The only ones that know what happened are Jacob and
those 3 kids.
and those 3. I mean, that's
Maybe they're scared of something.
maybe absolutely. I mean, it's not the first time that I've had a case where friends try to cover for friends because someone did something stupid, whether it be on purpose or by accident. You know, unfortunately, it's not uncommon, but we needed to determine that for sure. So, but again, you know, let me back up. Let me get into the home with someone's permission to do that, and document
Make
it.
that happen.
You can make that happen.
Yep.
I'll need at least verbal consent that can be on some type of recording to be able to have permission to get in there and retrieve, because you know we're gonna probably do a little bit of damage to the ceiling to try to retrieve the bullet.
I think you just
The
probably need
bullets.
to go in the attic.
Yeah.
It's actually
It's
lodged.
through.
Did someone actually see it where it's lodged in?
It's through.
Is it through?
Yeah.
Okay.
It goes through the drywall.
Okay. All right. So it should be fairly simple. I mean, you can actually see it. Have you gone up there and looked at it, or?
You can see the hole goes through the drywall.
Okay.
It doesn't hit a stud.
Okay. Do we know where it landed inside the attic?
No.
No. Okay. So we could be fishing for it for a while. It could be in a roof. It could be in the
I
rafters.
mean, we sort of wonder, well, what if that isn't the bullet that killed Jake? What if there's another?
Well, if it's the,
I mean,
usually you can tell if it's the bullet that was fired from the projectile that was recovered at the scene. We can make that determination. If we can recover that bullet, a bullet in the attic, we'll be able to determine the type, the caliber, and whether or not it came from one of those casings that was at the scene.
wouldn't it maybe even have his DNA on it?
Well, very possibility, absolutely. And we can maybe do DNA. Now you got to remember a fragment of a bullet is very small, very tiny. You know, fortunately for us with today's technology and forensics, you know, we may be able to collect some of that. It would have been nice to possibly be able to match it to what may or may not have been found on Jacob at the time, but that's long gone. That opportunity is no longer there. From reading the autopsy report, which was done independently, it didn't sound like there was anything found that indicated the type of bullet. It just kind of described what had happened, if you will, which is important. But be honest with you, the point of the matter is, we know how he died, we just don't know why he died. We don't know if it was done at the hands of another or if it was done at his own hands. That's what we need to try to determine. I mean, it's not going to be hard to prove that he died as a result of a .38 caliber round if that was what's fired out at .357. You know, at .357 you can fire a .357 round, which is a more higher caliber type round.
It was a .357.
Okay, or you can lower the caliber down and put a 38
You have
plus
casings,
P.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have the casings. Yeah, we can look at the casings.
It says right on it.
Yeah, I haven't seen the casings yet. Okay.
I've seen it from the picture online.
Okay. All right. So that's the first thing I want to do is get back in that home again, photograph, do a diagram. I always like to do a diagram, take measurements. Then the diagrams kind of coincide with my the pictures that I took. I want to be able to speak with at least the 3 witnesses we know of for sure. Evan Neidler, who hasn't really had the opportunity to come and talk to anybody for one reason or another. I'd like to give him that opportunity. I'd like to maybe give him a polygraph at one point. I need to talk with Brittany again. I need to talk with William because we do have some inconsistencies, and I'll describe what I found so far and see if they're still inconsistent. See if they're going to be more inconsistent than what they were the 2 different times they were talked to.
Since you do give polygraphs, have a little bit of experience with them, do they lose a little bit of accuracy 8 months later?
What do you mean accuracy?
I mean,
if someone's given a polygraph 2 weeks after an incident compared to 6 months after an incident, is there
no.
Unless the guy has complete amnesia and doesn't remember the sequence of events.
That's kind of funny.
If a person, I mean, the only time we do polygraphs if we think that person has information that we're looking for that we need to make a case. And in this particular case, the questions that would be asked is, you know, did you shoot Jacob? Do you know who shot Jacob? Those are, in my opinion, off the top of my head, would be probably the 2 most important questions that need to be asked. Did you do it, or do you know who did it? And if they say no, but the polygraph says you're lying, that tells me I need to stay focused in more on this individual. And that's how it becomes more of an investigative tool for us.
Do you have faith in polygraph?
I do, I truly do. Yeah, I can't tell a jury of 12 people that this guy took a polygraph and they passed. I just can't do that. It just kind of tells me that if they take it and they flunk it, I stay focused. If they take it and they pass it, I take note of that and I kind of move on and stay focused in on somebody else. Okay, that's why I use it, and that's why the majority of people use the polygraph. I mean, you're going to hear it is reliable, it's not reliable. It's going to come down to your personal opinion. It's going to come down to what you read, what you hear, and what you know. But I've used the tool many, many times in my career, and I truly do believe in it, and I think it's a great tool for law enforcement.
More of a guideline.
It's more, I wouldn't say guideline. Well, yes and no. I mean, it just tells me that this person needs to continue to be pursued. And not only that, but a lot of times if they flunk it, then they decide to come truth with it. Because now they know it's out in the open. I flunked. Now I got to tell the truth, because if I don't, I'm just digging myself a deeper hole. Now I got to come clean with it before I get myself in real big trouble for obstructing or whatnot, for lying during the course of an investigation of this magnitude. So, I was kind of hoping the autopsy report that was done might show toxicology, but apparently we didn't do toxicology.
You can't when you're embalmed.
Okay. There's no photographs.
That's Wolfie's fault.
Well, as far as an autopsy not being done initially, correct?
Yes.
There was no photographs taken at the autopsy. It's my understanding.
I have no idea.
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
This isn't a complete report.
Okay.
This was just a rush thing for depositions.
Okay, all right.
He's still working on this.
Is he?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to get an idea if I know the report itself didn't indicate any stifling. I don't know if you know what that means. If there's close contact wound with some type of a weapon.
It did indicate that it was a 1/2 inch.
Okay.
Did you get the report?
I did get the report.
Well, it should tell you that it was a 1/2 inch.
Okay, and it converted to centimeters, correct? So what you're implying?
You're talking about the position.
No, what I'm talking about is if a person hypothetically commits suicide, or if somebody puts a gun to the temple,
it's not in the temple. You know that.
And I understand that. But I'm just saying, I'm trying to define what stifling is. It leaves a powder mark.
Right.
Okay. It leaves residue, because obviously when a bullet's fired, the gunpowder.
Right.
And it leaves traces of it being.
I know what that is.
All right.
I read the
report didn't indicate any of that. 9 out of 10 times when a person commits suicide, using a firearm or some sort, it's direct contact. A lot of times. That's not the case here, from what I can gather at this point. So that's a bit of a confusion on my part. You know, if it truly was a suicide, I'm not here to say it is or isn't at this point, but if it was, I think the person, if it was their true intent to commit suicide, it'd be right there, because that's a sure thing where back here, it's not necessarily a sure thing.
Right.
Well,
If
it
you-
was,
Well, it was
it
back
was back here,
Right.
behind in the
As-
colicky area. If you do the centimeter thing,
Mhm.
Yeah.
if you need, it's behind,
Yeah.
more in the colicky area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And that's a little odd, because Sean O'Connell's opinion is if you're gonna commit suicide, you're not gonna hold it back here like that. It's gonna be more of a sure type thing.
Right.
And it's gonna usually be with your dominant hand, unless,
I seen that you did have the forensic pathology handbook.
do.
Okay.
but the handbook, yes.
Yeah.
Now, I know what you're gonna get at, did I read that? Have I read that handbook? No, I haven't.
Okay.
Investigations, there are ways to do investigations.
Again, it's just a tool like the lie
It
detector
is,
test.
absolutely. Just like
Exactly
when
like the lie detector
yeah.
test.
When I go to schools to learn how to perfect my cases. How one handles an investigation is merely done by the way you think it needs to be handled, by the way you were taught, from what you've have experienced in the past on handling cases like this and so forth.
Absolutely.
So how I do it and how everybody else does it is the way they feel they need to do it, from research such as handbooks and whatnot, okay? But back to what I think we need to do, let's see here. Again, we need to speak with Evan Neidler, get a good statement from him, at least a good verbal, recorded type statement, and see if he's consistent with what the other two have mentioned to us, and then see if he'd be willing to take a polygraph for us in due time, again, just as a tool. I see we have the phone in the right hand. The claiming gun may have been in his left hand. We need to get some clarification on that from talking to the witnesses. We need to determine the trajectory of the bullet from the entrance room wound to the exit wound to where the bullet's been lodged into the ceiling. There was inconsistency of where William Lewis was sitting at the time of the discharge.
You guys picked up on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, yeah.
And how about the blood on the shoes?
I did not see that.
I did see some on one of the pictures.
Well,
But that's
Captain Maggot will tell you that he threw them away at the department at the station. I don't know if he actually threw them away or he saved it. They should have been put into evidence, but I don't know what he did with them.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm not sure.
He had, and I don't
You
know.
talking about Jacob's shoes?
No,
Okay.
Will's shoes.
Will's shoes?
I don't know if it was arterial type spray. Only Captain Maggot's going to be able to tell you that.
Okay, that's
I don't know if there's
interesting.
pictures. But
Because-
he had noticed it on his shoes.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only one. He was upset about it at Fremont when they were there.
Okay, well, the picture of the blood on the shoes was I don't know there's something with Jacob's shoe, but I'm not sure about William.
Blood on shoes.
These were Will's.
Or Will.
Yeah.
And if you listen to Will's audio, have you listened to any of the
No, I
audio?
haven't listened to the
You
audio
guys haven't
yet.
listened to any of the audio?
I haven't had a chance.
We just
Oh.
got this, like
Hey,
you
we
said
just got this
yesterday,
late
basically.
afternoon.
and
Okay,
started-
I'm sorry, guys. I
Yeah.
thought maybe you...
No,
We just came into this
Okay.
yesterday afternoon at 1:30.
Honestly, I
Okay.
yeah.
And we
That'll be
spent
interesting to you.
we spent 2.5 hours this morning in our conference room trying to sort all this out, and here we be.
You do have copies of the audio.
I got them. Yeah, I got them right here in this envelope.
Okay.
I mean, I've looked at the pictures.
Did you look
I've
at the
re-
written statements?
We read the written statements.
Compare the written.
that's where we got some of these
We've already done that.
inconsistencies.
Okay.
Yeah, I've compared the written statements to Bill Kaiser's report. Have not compared them to the audio at this point. Okay.
I'm pretty impressed then.
Um,
If you picked up on that much so far, that quick.
Evan Neidler's indicated Jacob was on the phone, pointed gun at head, gun goes off. Everyone was sitting on the couch. That's what Neidler says in his written statement.
Well, you have to wonder how Will, if they were all on the couch, how is Will the only one with blood on his shoes?
And that's a good question. If Will's got blood on his shoes, and that common sense dictates, and he was real close to Jacob when the gun went off.
And if that
because
is the
that's
bullet
blood
in the
splatter.
ceiling with the trajectory and Jake had to be
Yeah,
very low and
You know,
At
think
that
about that,
angle.
guys.
I already have. I
Think
understand.
about that.
I understand.
And you know, our initial thought, and if you, when you get Bill Kaiser's tape, you're gonna hear me and Shannon in there.
saying we don't want those kids to go to jail. We feel this was an accident. This was an accident.
It was, you know.
You're thinking, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're thinking that somebody else had the gun, and for one stupid reason or another, the thing went off.
Around, didn't know it was.
And now the kids are scared
Of course.
for fear that somebody's going to get charged with murder. And the truth of the matter is, they were screwing around. They probably had some alcohol in their system.
Actually, that's almost impossible.
As far as what?
The alcohol in the system. Well,
Okay.
Jake didn't.
Yeah.
Jake wasn't drinking.
They just left the Castalia Market. That's a whole nother story you guys don't know about. The video at the Castalia Market's missing, which I told Captain Meggett about. And after I told Captain Meggett about the video,
We wanted to see the video to see if Jake had the gun on him
I went
in the
up there,
store,
went up
if there
there.
were 4 or 5 people.
who was. I went up there.
Go ahead.
And talked to one of the owners, Jim, up there at the Castalia Market, and yes, they did have the video. They just needed to know what time. Well, in the beer carton at that house, which I took, I have it, was a receipt where Jake bought a pack of cigarettes using his debit card. It's his receipt, timed, you know, so he can go back on that digital thing and pull it. He has it, but his brother's got to retrieve it and make me a copy of it because he's not techie enough. He's an older guy.
And we find that all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, I tell Captain Maggott about this. It's good news, you know. They've got it. You're gonna see Jake didn't wear that gun into that store. He's
in plain view. I mean, is there a remote possibility he wore it?
Listen, my son collected. He traded. He was responsible. These were locked up. He has a little 3-year-old daughter. He dealt. He had safety courses. He handled these things.
He was responsible.
He was extremely.
Okay, very good.
Went to shows. He collected all kinds of like knives, and he's got a heck of a collection. And he knows better. It's hard for me to believe that he was sitting in that van with that gun holstered. That holster was worn on the front. That would have been uncomfortable with a 6-inch barrel.
Sure would.
How are you going to sit down with that?
I agree.
You're not gonna.
How do you? First of all, do you think he transported the gun from home to the residence?
I did not know he was taking it, but
Okay.
yes, I do.
So we're comfortable with the idea that he brought the gun
He
to
took
where
the
it was
gun.
found.
I know
Okay,
why,
we don't dispute that.
and we know why he took the gun.
Okay, why do we take the? Why do you think he took the gun?
We don't know. We don't know why. We don't think we know. We know why it come out. Evan himself told me he was interested in purchasing a gun.
I read that somewhere.
He
today.
told me, and then.
But not at first. At first,
No,
they
not
were
at
like,
first,
we
not
had
at-
no
not-
idea he had a
Email
gun.
maybe?
Yeah.
Not at first. Not at first. This just come out this past summer as he had been coming over.
I couldn't figure out why he was at that house. He didn't like Brittany for one. He didn't. And why would he have taken the gun? Because he knew better. I knew he knew better.
He was
And then when it
trading
came
it or
out
selling
that
it.
yeah.
And he didn't know Will at all. He never met Will.
He never met Evan.
Or Evan. I'm getting him confused. Don't write that down.
No, I
because
understand.
That's not
Yeah.
true.
He may have met Will once that we know of.
Yeah, or a couple of times.
Sure.
But he had never met Evan before. But it was Eric Meyer.
Oh, a friend of mine at the funeral showing, I
come
guess
forth
Brittany
and you
went
can
out
talk
to
to
the
him.
car to sit with this friend of mine's son, and she told my friend's son that Jake took the gun because Evan wanted to look at it and buy it. So then we were, oh, that's why he took the gun, because he did that often. I mean, if he could make money, I'm saying. He was a good kid though, but he wasn't.
Where did let's back up. Where did Jacob get the gun from?
Jacob got the gun either, as this was real quick. This come from a Swartz kid. It's registered. You guys probably already know that. You probably checked into it.
Actually, I haven't yet. I haven't seen anything where the gun. I mean, it's something.
But it was just bought
list.
1 month before his death at Everett's. I have the receipt. It's in his. I have the receipt to the gun, the box, everything.
You know, if you're not opposed to it, do you mind if I get a copy of that receipt?
No, not at all.
That'd be great. I'd like to have it in my file.
Like I told Captain Maggot, like I told Bill Starball, anything that I've got that would help you guys.
Super.
That's what I
don't know if it's really going to help. It just kind of clarifies later down the road that the gun was legally purchased.
Before you leave, take down my phone number.
Okay. I think I have that.
Bill should have it. Maggot has it.
So back up. The gun
still in my phone.
The gun was purchased from where?
Everett's, you said.
Yeah, Everett's. Yeah, I think it's out on Route 4.
Is that a person?
No, it's
gun shop?
It's a gun shop.
It's a gun shop.
Yeah.
Gun shop in Sandusky County?
Oh, not Route 4. It'd be Erie.
Huron County or Erie County, right?
Erie, I think, yeah.
Gun purchased at Everett's gun store.
But Jake didn't purchase it.
Who purchased it?
The Swartz kid.
John Swartz is his name.
Okay, so legally it was John Swartz's gun?
Jake either traded or something with the Swartz boy. And that's what Jake did. He traded stuff all the time. Traded, bought. Mm-hmm. But the date on the receipt for this gun was only...
February.
Yeah, a month. It was a second. It was a month.
So around February 2nd of 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Like I say, he's got antiques. He had stupid stuff. He had like AK-47s. You guys probably don't know Kevin Likens.
He didn't have an AK-47. He probably had an AK-74. 47 is a fully automatic Russian.
Okay, it wasn't.
You gotta have a Class 3 license there, something like that.
Yeah, whatever. He called it an AK-47. Yeah. I'm not really a gun enthusiast.
Yeah, I'm not either, but. Okay. So we have reason to believe that Evan Neidler wanted to possibly look at the gun to buy the gun.
Buy it or trade it or whatever.
So the gun was transported there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Do we dispute that they had gone outside and fired the gun? They being William, Evan,
I have
Brittany.
no idea what happened at that house.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question? I was just reading the full report from Captain Maggot, but it says that in retrieving the video, or there was the bottom of the first page on March 20th,
Video?
2012. Yeah, it says checking the phone secured from the scene owned by Jacob. 2 videos were emailed.
Yeah. You guys haven't seen that video?
No.
Can you download it on one of these computers? You can look at it. All it is, and that's where I came into play when I was with Fremont Police, is I believe it's your son just shooting the gun
back of my place.
Okay, that could be down on an old, maybe a railroad trail or.
Oh, it wasn't a video made that night.
No, I don't think it was made that night. So you're familiar with the video?
Yes.
And there's a female. Is there a Kaylee?
Girlfriend. It's Kaylee.
Kaylee shooting the gun as well.
That is the gun that they had just.
Yeah, it's kind of what we figured.
Purchased.
And that's the reason why Captain Maggot brought to my attention to show that here's a gun we found, and here's a gun he's shooting. Could it be one and the same gun?
That is the same gun.
Okay. We kind of suspected that. All right.
And
if you want a copy of that,
Kaylee shoots.
Dan, you're more than welcome to it.
I have it on my phone. Anytime you want to see it,
All right.
Dan. I have the phone was here the other day. I probably should have showed you.
Okay. So if the witnesses say we did go out at one point and shoot the gun, we're not really here to dispute that?
I don't know if they went out and shot the gun.
Okay.
I mean...
Yeah, you don't know, just like I don't know, because we weren't there.
Well, they did say they were shooting in a bucket, and the next day or two, the bucket was never to be found.
Yeah, we went, me and my son went out there. There was no white bucket, so either the sheriff's department took the bucket.
I don't remember seeing that in the report, but
there was no white bucket out back, and I just found that suspicious.
If I had to make an educated guess, I'd say that the bucket probably was not collected, because I think everybody, with the idea that everybody was out there shooting the guns, kind of irrelevant, because that's not what caused his death. What's important here is what causes death and who causes death.
But I think it prevented them from, oh, they were all out shooting, so there's no sense in doing gunshot residue tests.
In gunshot, GSR kits, I can tell you right now, you guys are watching too much CSI. Gunshot residue kits, they hurt you more than they help you. GSR tests contain what they call antimony and barium. Those are some of the chemicals that make up gunpowder. That's what at one time, 10, 15 years ago, you used to look for. It's just a little swab, and you look for it, you send it off. But anymore, there's so much out there that contains those chemicals that it's not a fair analysis. It's best that as investigators you don't use GSR. When I was with Fremont PD, we got rid of all our GSR because they can actually hurt you more than they can help you. Okay. What you need to do to determine if somebody had handled a firearm is usually fingerprinting. And to get good prints realistically to get a good latent type print off a firearm that provides sufficient ridge detail for comparison, pretty much slim to none. I've never been able to have that happen on my behalf. But this day and age with DNA the way it is, you could possibly get DNA off the firearm, which would still probably be made available to us if need to be. We can swab a gun or an article, a piece of evidence, and swab it for DNA, and then submit it to the crime lab, which is BCI, and then collect DNA from those who we suspect may have some of their DNA attached to this item that we just collected as evidence.
Was a fingerprint analysis or anything of the like ever done on this gun? Is that going to be done now?
Well, we can. I'm not opposed to doing it at this point.
We have very little evidence left.
We were told that they couldn't test the gun because it was too messy.
Okay, that's not necessarily true, but we can test the gun, and I'm gonna have it tested not only for fingerprinting, which I'm gonna guess they'll probably come up with nothing, but we can certainly go with DNA, and then we can compare the DNA to those who claim they have touched the gun. But we already know they touched the gun because under their own admission they've touched the gun. So I'm not really for sure what importance that would be at the moment, because I've already got all three telling me they've touched the gun. Okay?
Except for this one important thing.
What's that?
After some upsetting Brittany, she comes storming over to our house.
Mm-hmm.
She busts in and wants all this to stop, and she starts telling me a story, and I don't know if they
go ahead.
Did they read that?
Yeah, no, sure. I haven't.
She starts explaining that you're not gonna. That one of the boys, she said, moved the gun, handled the gun. She screamed, "Put it down." That's a quote that she said to me. She screamed. Did you read any of that?
No.
Except for probably what you read in the paper.
The newspaper? I didn't read the newspaper. I don't typically read the newspaper.
Or in the letter of, in the letter, that was put in the letter, wasn't it? I can't remember.
The only thing, this is all I have.
The handling of the gun.
Okay.
Does they have our letter that we sent?
Laura,
Oh, you know what? Was that addressed to Tom? Your concerns, your questions?
Yeah.
Have I read that?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Do I have it? I do.
Okay.
well, I outlined
Yep.
10 questions that we felt.
Yeah. Well, it's not really telling the whole thing.
No,
how it happened.
There's a handwritten statement that it's kind of a strange format where Brittany in her handwriting on the occasion where she comes over to Mike and Shannon's house after being, there was a story in the paper. Apparently that night she was upset for whatever reason, comes in, that's what Mike's referring to. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but she makes the statement that one of the boys handled a gun after the shooting.
Okay.
And Mike, I'm going to let you pick it up from there. I've got a copy of her handwritten statement. Mm-hmm. She poses it in a question form.
She was going to find the answers out, so she wrote that down so she wouldn't forget.
She's telling me
Laura, when do we get that out?
She screamed, put it down, like from the kitchen. Talking about the gun. But explain it to me as one of them picked the gun up.
After
Jake's on the floor. Jake's on the floor.
Okay.
Yeah. And I asked her, I'm like, oh my God, you know. I said, did they put it down right where it was? I asked her if they told the sheriff's department, and no, she didn't tell the sheriff's department.
They didn't ask, that's why.
Yeah.
She said they
Well,
didn't ask.
She told me one of the boys had cocked the gun. She couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Before she had left that night, I asked her. She said that she was to find out which one of the boys, she said, had done those things. I said,
No.
well, what are you going to find out for me? She told me that she changed her clothes. One of the
Who changed their clothes?
Brittany changed her clothes there at the house before she went to Fremont. One of the sheriffs had let her change her clothes.
This is what she wrote out.
Okay. Let's see. Questions to find out.
That's what I asked her.
Who moved the gun? Where was the gun before it was moved? Who cocked the gun?
I asked her.
Will change his clothes.
Would you write that down for me because I won't remember.
Well, who wrote? And she wrote no.
No, I did.
You did.
She was supposed to come over the next day. And her mom's sitting there next to me, and I got her on the phone, and no answer. I wrote no next to each one of those as she's on the phone because I didn't. Kind of felt funny with her mom sitting.
So it's not no, it's just she didn't answer?
No, she didn't give me an answer to them. She didn't remember. Yeah, she didn't find out the answer to these. She wrote this down leaving my house. I had her do that.
Yeah.
I kind of.
Yep.
I kind of had her do that, telling her I wouldn't remember what questions she was going to find out for me. Just to state that she's there telling me this stuff, and then I show it to Dan.
Do you think that she is our weak link? That if somebody's gonna break, it's probably gonna be her first?
I think she's fried.
Fried because of drug usage, or as a result of this, or
no?
Just because that's just who her character is?
Yeah.
A couple of things, and I'll jump in here. When she was at our office, one of the last things that she said, she had indicated something to the effect of Laura's, this is, I think, in notes we've already given you, but she said that this isn't the first time that Jake did this. And I said, what do you mean by that? And she said, well, played Russian roulette. I said, played Russian roulette? Who else saw Jake ever do this? And she hesitated for a minute, and then because we had just been talking about the two boys who were Jake's best friends, I forget their names. Chris and Brady. Then she said, well, Chris and Brady saw Jake play Russian roulette. She said that he would always check to make sure the gun wasn't loaded, and he wouldn't pull the trigger, but he would hold the gun up kind of like fake Russian roulette. They went back at my request and talked with
both of them, Brady and Chris.
And would tell
Brady is Brady Gasser.
Gasser.
Mm-hmm. What's Chris's last name?
Van Scoy.
Okay.
Now would tell.
We told both of them, listen, if this is something you've seen, you need to tell us. Mm-hmm. Don't feel bad if you say, just tell us the truth. They were both adamant of the fact that they had not seen.
I tell you what puzzles me is I don't like the wound being back here on the left side?
It's actually
up.
Up here, okay.
Yeah, it's 2 centimeters above the ear.
Okay. Alright.
At a downward angle.
Slightly different.
Yeah.
The dimensions of the room, this is not a big living room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to give them your drawing too, by the way.
Oh, okay.
That's a phone message, or no? That's what is this? This one right here. This was a.
Oh, Brittany sent that to Brady.
Just before she came to our house. Yeah, that's what upset her.
The most important point on that email from Brittany is she's saying Will was the one who had to throw away his shoes. I noticed the blood on them and it made me sick.
She was upset because the Register had put in a story in, and there were people blogging on the Register, and Brady was one of the main bloggers in Jake's defense. And Brittany was upset, and that was a message she sent him on Facebook.
Is there anything in here that's incriminating?
I don't think, other than we were talking about the blood on Will's shoes. Well, that indicates that there was blood on Will's shoes. But the other thing about Brittany, and that struck me, that right at the outset when she said that these other two boys that had witnessed Jake play Russian roulette many times, and I think that was her word, many times. Then when Mike and Shannon went and asked those boys whether that ever happened, they said no, never did happen. So I mean, why would you make that up?
Yeah.
The other thing.
Why would she make that up?
Yeah, why would she say
hypothetically to cover for William or Evan, maybe?
Yeah. But when she came over and made that list of questions,
it's an alibi for
Mike asked her, why did you tell Dan that you'd seen Jake play Russian roulette many times? She said, I never said many times. And she said, I think I saw him do it once, and her little sister Chloe saw it.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden it's her little sister Chloe.
And she also said that night, and this is verified by when that night she came over and real agitated and busted in and wrote these questions down as who cocked the gun. Well, that was her abbreviated way of saying that a moment before Jake was shot. And again, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Why don't you tell
well,
the
that's
officers
okay.
exactly
that's
what the moment before Jake was shot, Jake yelled out, "The gun's loaded, don't do that."
Well, actually, Captain Meggett told us that.
And Captain Meggett told me that.
My husband and Mike and myself and my oldest son, Michael, went to meet with Captain Meggett maybe 2 weeks or so after Jake died to get some answers. And he said, I don't know that he said Will, but I think he did say Will, cocked the gun and sat the gun down. And Jake said, you can't do that, it's still loaded. And when he reached down to pick it up is when it went off. Well,
when who reached down to pick it up? When Jake went,
okay. And I said, then why? Why did the Register say?
I don't like how you would have picked it up and it went off. I don't buy that.
This is what Meggett
told us, yes. But it was no report ever. And honestly, if it had just been me that had heard him say that.
The report I just gave you, is there something in there in regards to that?
No, there's nothing like that. But that would have been consistent. I see that Captain Meggett met with them on March 16th.
Yeah.
So that would have been in that conversation that he said, and that corroborated what Brittany said that night. Now, obviously, that's totally and irreconcilably inconsistent with Jake shooting himself. Why would he yell out, "Hey, don't do that! Don't cock the gun's loaded," and then he shoots himself?
But then even Meggett's report and Wookie's report, he may not have realized the gun was loaded. But at that time, I hadn't seen those reports. So I said, why did the Register report that Jake didn't know the gun was loaded? Why? And he said, because Wookie is the highest ranking official in the county, and that's what he told me to tell them, the Register.
I'll have you know that.
Who was?
Captain Meggett was blaming everything on Wookie. He had.
Well, I said, I don't understand.
If there's something wrong here, it's Wookie. Wookie had the final call.
Brittany told us.
It's true to a point.
I know.
Brittany told us in a statement at our office that they knew the gun was loaded. When they were passing it around, they knew that there was a round.
Passing around with inside the home?
Yep.
So they're sitting on the couch watching TV, I read somewhere.
Evan handled it, passed it to, Evan was on the far end of the couch, then Brittany, then Will. Importantly, Will's the last one, supposedly according to Brittany, to handle that gun. She said that Will put the gun down on the ottoman.
Which is where I think ottoman footstool is where William was at one point supposed to be sitting, and then Jacob was in front of him, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
And then the gun goes off, Will's got blood on his shoes. Okay. So is it premature at this point, obviously, but from what I'm starting to gather, it kind of looks like we had to start pointing fingers. We need to look at Brittany as being our weak link. One is probably going to tell us what truly happened here in a matter of due time.
Although I can't believe a word she says in it.
And it may go back towards William as being the one that had the accidental discharge that took Jacob's life.
If you listen to the CD, he's the one that's most sorrowful. He's the one that has a chance to stop speaking and continues on. He
says several times that it was an accident, it was just an accident. Like, he says it over and over again. And his voice is really shaky.
Which
is good, I like that. I mean,
Evan is the one, I think. He's ex-military, 4 years in the Navy. He probably has the most sense. He's the oldest.
How old is Evan?
His birthday.
24.
You guys know anything about Evan?
Nothing. We never
know him.
Yeah.
We'd never met him before.
He's mysteriously been coming to our house like all summer. I would say he's the weakest link.
Evan is?
He's coming to our house wanting to tell us something.
Well, I was upset that he would entertain Evan when Evan
I was working.
He felt that he was
wanted to
waiting.
say something.
Evan wants to say something. I'm just waiting for him to say it.
So, I mean, is it? I mean, prior to this happening, did he ever come to your house?
No.
Okay.
Jake never knew him. We've never met the boy before.
So how many times has he been to your house?
All summer long, on and off.
More than 10 times?
I'd say probably 10.
10 times.
And he comes over just to hang out and comes across like the kid wants to tell us something, honey, but he just won't come out with it.
Saying it.
Yeah.
Well, in his report, I mean, he did.
In his report, he's the one who, Brittany and Will.
Can we get Evans?
Aren't smart enough to come up with this story.
Who? I'm sorry, Evan and William aren't smart enough?
Brittany
and William. Okay, and their boyfriend, girlfriend.
Yeah.
Are they still boyfriend, girlfriend?
Yep.
You know?
As far as we know.
They're still together. They're not. It was Evan probably looking out for
his friends.
Them.
The address I have on Evan, 105 West Miami Trail, Sandusky.
That's where he's at right now.
That's where he's at?
That's his parents' house.
His mom.
Okay. Is he working anywhere?
Last we heard he was working at Menards.
Menards and Sandusky?
Yeah.
And you don't think if I go there, if he's not there, I can probably find him at Menards and he'll talk to me, right? Do you guys have it in you? Hey, do you mind if O'Connell talks to you?
Listen, I've asked him to talk to Bill Kaiser.
Bill Kaiser left
and he's been okay with doing all that.
No, he didn't talk. He wouldn't talk.
Bill wouldn't talk to him.
No,
Evan wouldn't talk either?
Yeah.
Bill
Why wouldn't he
called
talk?
and left numerous messages for Evan.
Yeah.
Evan never called him back. I know one night Mike said something and he said he was going to, but he never did.
But Bill never actually confronted him though, did he?
I've told him, I've halfway told Evan I know what happened out there at that house. You know, I mean, I've told him. You know, what I believe happened. And
do you think if I show up at his house and I catch him at the front door, he's gonna talk to me? Don't know.
I don't know. With these, he got served a subpoena yesterday. I mean,
how did you react to that?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I asked Kate how that went with the other process server, and that she said that the other process server went to Evan's house. He was not there. His mom was calling around trying to find out where he was, and then took I don't know what his name was, took the process server to where he was, and he served Evan and the two other kids there at the same time.
Oh, so they were all three together?
They were all three together. And they were all
but
three
Evan's mom took him
Will's
to where
trailer
they were.
over in Marblehead.
That's where they're living at now?
Not Evan, but...
No, but I mean William and Brittany.
But apparently Brittany
does
we're all
together the other night.
Okay, 110 County Road 294?
No.
No.
That's the rental. That's
an
where
old
the accident
address.
happened.
7401 East Bayshore Road?
That's
Marblehead.
That's where they're living at?
Must be. Like, apparently there's a house out front and a trailer out back or something.
Is William or Brittany working anywhere?
I have no idea.
I know last I heard William isn't. Brittany was working at a hotel in Marblehead, but I think it's seasonal.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll be back.
When Bill Kaiser first took over, he went out and got a hold. The dates are wrote down here. He first approached Will, got a hold of him, said that he was from Sandusky County Prosecutor's Office. He was a detective. He was starting this investigation on this case. It was quite a bit of time passed since Meggett was on the case. Right. By the time we got Tom Sarwalt to
March, maybe 4 months or so.
Start looking into it. A couple of days after that, this was his Facebook post.
If I'm not back by this tomorrow, carry on, carry on.
And I don't know if you know the song. Those are just the lyrics to that song.
Mama, I just killed. Put a gun against. Oh.
That was his Facebook post. A couple of days.
That's interesting. Yeah, glad to get a copy of that.
Yeah. You can have
a couple days after. Who started investigating?
I'd like
Bill.
Bill started.
I explained it to you because I sang the song to you because you didn't know the song. And I was like,
Queen,
I don't know.
You know
Neither one of us sang.
You know Queen.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's those particular lyrics.
We don't.
Right.
No.
I will give that. Actually, you do have it. It's in files that I give you. But I'll give you. I
can make another copy.
Yeah, it's the main part of the song leading into. Yeah.
I just found that to be very interesting.
Yes, I agree.
Bill Kaiser played that off when I told him that.
Played it off, meaning not important to him?
Yeah.
Brittany posted.
That really bothered me.
On Jake's Facebook.
You don't do that. He thought he was caught. He thought he was done. He was giving up.
That was sent the day after Bill Kaiser.
No, a couple of days.
Couple of days.
Yep. He was going to have to go take a lie detector test. Bill, if you look back in the records, you'll see that Bill found him. I would have to go back to the date. That was the 7th. It's in Bill's report when he.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I did read that.
Whenever he approached him,
it'll just be in there.
and I do have it if you wanted to really get into the dates.
Well, let's see. Yeah. I would like to. If June.
We're good.
Well, that's a couple days later he put that on. I think it was.
If you could actually print that off again, it shows the date that it was sent or posted.
What, this?
This right here.
That's he didn't put the lyrics on that.
Okay.
This is just the Facebook that he posted.
Okay.
This we printed because we wanted to have the lyrics to the song that he wrote. Follow me?
Thanks.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
You guys put the lyrics on there.
Right.
Just to refer back to the carry on, carry on.
All right, carry on, which refers back to the song.
Right, so make no mistake, that's a Facebook post.
And that's dated for June 10th at 9:19 p.m.
Right, that's a Facebook post.
Got it.
And
all right.
We just printed what the lyrics say. Because I'm not really that. I mean, I know the song, but.
I mean, he put carry on, Queen for the song.
Right.
Yeah, got it.
And unless you know the lyrics.
That's good. That's good investigative work. I like that.
But unless you know the lyrics to the song,
right?
Unless you see the words, what he's saying.
That's a good piece. So I can have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can make you a copy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I actually have more of that.
I'm gonna have just hold up a second here, but
this
is Mike's drawing. And this is, and I was just reading Evan's statement.
It was kind of fast.
Where he says Will was standing and facing them, and let's see, and here's Mike's drawing of the layout of the room. So you got the couch and you got the ottoman and Will seated right here, and now Jake is supposed to be standing like right in front of them, facing them, according to Evan, and the bullet ends up off to. Going through the ceiling at this point in the room, so off to the Jake's. If he's facing him, it'd be off to Jake's left. But the bullet, if he's standing and facing them, the bullet would have gone off in that direction.
So, you saying Captain Meggett did this?
No. Mike did. Mike. He drew the room, but the bullet, according to Evan's statement, Jake is standing facing them, and that would have been impossible because the bullet's here, up in this side of the room, and according to Evan's statement, the bullet would have been...
it would have gone out the picture window. Or would have gone the other direction.
Well, first of all, it wouldn't have gone up in the ceiling at all. The trajectory, according to the pathologist, was a downward trajectory. But it would have ended up at the other end of the room.
So how are we trying to explain how the bullet got over here? What's your theory?
Well, first of all, I don't think with the bullet ending up in the ceiling, I don't see how. And we know for a fact that
which
it
way
was
is he laying? This head's here.
Yep.
Okay.
Unless the only way that could have happened is
but he's supposed to be facing the pass-through, according to Captain Maggot.
The other thing, he's
slightly turned, facing the couch.
With the bullet coming in here, and then coming back out this way.
Yep.
Evan says he was facing the couch where myself, Will, and Brittany were sitting,
which is here,
and facing slightly toward the kitchen.
But I don't think the pictures have him facing the couch, though, do they? Have you seen all the pictures?
I have.
Yeah, I don't think they do.
Okay.
I think he's pointed away from the couch.
Okay.
Which that had to be.
In the one picture, you can see the ottoman.
You can see the ottoman in the one photo.
And where's the ottoman?
He had that
in front of the picture window.
Yes.
He had that holster that Mike was talking about.
The picture we have.
Now Jake says, Evan in his statement says Jake removed the gun from his waistband. That would be presumably out of that holster. Now, if you look at the pictures, the holster is like a couple of feet away from the body.
Yeah, I don't. Again, if I had to make a guess, I'm gonna say he didn't have the holster on him. No. The holster was just a means of transport of the gun.
Well, maybe. So he got out of his waistband and put it to his head.
Yeah, if you look at the pictures, I mean, how Evan is positioned in the photos is how he landed at the time of impact. I'm pretty comfortable with that.
Have you been around many suicides?
Oh yeah.
Have you?
Oh yeah.
What happens to the gun?
Homicides.
What happens to the gun usually? Does it usually stay in the hand?
Yes, usually. It depends upon the type of weapon, the weight to the weapon. A lot of things come in, that vary.
I know. Most of the time, half of the time?
If he's in the standing position, and if somebody's standing and puts a gun to their head and shoots, the gun's going to drop. Okay, and it's going to land at your feet. And you're going to fall back, more than likely. If I'm laying in bed and I do it, this is gonna drop.
Yeah.
Okay. If I'm sitting and I'm gonna do it, it's gonna drop. Okay, the gun's gonna land where the gravity takes it.
You see anything out with the picture?
No, I don't. I have to.
So where the gun ended up, you see nothing out of the ordinary?
The pictures don't show truly where the gun ended up because one of the first things the officers did, I believe, was make the gun safe, secure.
So they didn't take pictures of the scene of where the gun was at?
No, it's my understanding initially. The officers went in, and I can't necessarily find fault because as officers, our responsibility is to go and need to those who need.
Sure. The kids were in the back part of the house, in the back room.
Yeah.
Then you got a dead body on the floor.
They didn't assume it was dead at that point. They wanted to render medical aid to it. And make that determination, let the squad come in and make their determination whether or not they need to, proceed from there. And it's going to be their responsibility to make sure that the gun is safe and secure. I probably would have done the same thing if I'm pulling. Now, if I pull up to a scene that's been that way for quite some time.
But they do know where the gun was at.
Yeah, it's documented. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So would that be a typical area where the gun was?
Yeah.
But now they do know that that's not exactly where the gun was at.
Well, that can go either way. Where the gun was at, I think, in my opinion, can go either way. It can go.
Now that we know that somebody had handled the gun.
Yeah. I mean, where the gun was at could have been put there because whoever had the gun, it went off, put it there. for the obvious reason, got to get rid of it, you know what I mean? I don't think that's going to be a concern, to be honest with you. I don't think it's going to be a concern if we do latents or if we do DNA. It's not going to be an issue who handled the gun, because under everybody's admission, they've handled the gun. They went out and fired it.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff here, guys, for us to follow up on. I'm here to tell you.
I'll probably have more too.
More the merrier. I'll give you my card with my number on it, and please give me a holler if you think you got something that needs to be followed up on, because I'm always up for a challenge, and this is a challenge.
I need to know. I need to know what happened to my son out there.
As a father, I'd want to know the same answers, absolutely, and I feel for it, I truly do. I have a 19-year-old, and I can't imagine what you guys are going through. And not only not...
Make sure you hug him tonight.
Yeah, well, he's in college,
when you
but
see him next.
But, you know, not knowing for sure what really happens, you got to be eating at you. If at best we can tell you this is what happened, at least you have some closure. You can move on and accept it. And
you have to tell his daughter someday what happened.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I'm liking what I'm hearing. I think there's a lot of information that we can go back and follow up on and run with, and hopefully come to a comfortable conclusion. I see who I think my weak links are going to be. I think I know who my ones I'm going to have to really push and push and push to the point where they tell me to quit talking to them. Who those people are, but there's a lot I need to do. I'm going to need a couple good weeks to run with it. And just kind of bear with me, because as a detective with the Sheriff's Office in Sandusky County, there's so much crap going on out there that I can't devote all my time to this. I still got other cases. I got burglaries I got to work, robberies we got to work, and
I get it,
and whatnot. But this is a priority. Okay, this is going to be one that's going to be on my desk and worked on as much as we can.
With your meeting with Dr. Wilkie, what was his thoughts?
I think Dr. Wookie is just more upset that his integrity is being questioned somewhat. And,
well, I don't understand why he didn't come to the scene or see Jake. Really.
Well, and as a parent...
Or try to help us out a little bit.
Yeah, as a parent, I can understand your concern. I truly can. There's been plenty of times where we've called the coroner. A lot of coroners have investigators that assist the coroner.
They should have assistant.
We should, but it's all about the money.
Yeah.
And the county's not that large enough where, you know, counties in this area, I doubt if every county has a coroner's assistant. It's just the coroner. Typically the coroner, sometimes the coroner will come out on scene. I had a suicide, when was that, in July, August?
July,
I think
we called a coroner. He came out on that one.
I think we've been noticing a few suicides in your county here lately and back, that they do send them to Lucas County now.
Well, I had that one sent to Lucas County because I requested it that it go to Lucas County.
So
even though I felt pretty comfortable it was a suicide, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
Is it the
Gregory Montgomery is the one that...
Was it a gunshot wound to the chest?
No.
This was in Clyde?
Oh, that was Clyde. That was Clyde
PD.
That was Eric Swinehart. That's Clyde PD's actually handling that one. What became of that one, I have no idea. I don't know if it went to Lucas County or not.
It was in the newspaper. It was in the Sandusky Register that it did.
Okay.
That Wookie sent.
Dr. Wookie did?
Yeah, that Dr. Wookie showed up.
Dr. Wookie's probably covering his butt right now to send that one up.
So.
What may happen as a result of this one possibly, I don't know. Can't speak on his behalf, but...
Well, I know Bill Kaiser had asked us when we first met with him, why wasn't a detective assigned when this happened? And we said, I don't know, you tell us.
This has never happened to us before. I mean,
no, I understand.
And he said, you know, it was investigated by road cops. Those were his words.
Yeah.
They aren't trained to look at what detectives are trained to look at.
You know, and Captain Meg did do the best. I mean, we don't know, you know. He's got a bunch of kids, you know, and
Captain Meg,
we get it. We get it.
I understand. He's just not, I mean, we all have our expertise in what we do for a living. I have mine, he has his. Our road guy is not comparable to what I do, and I'm not compared to what a road guy does by any means. You know, they can write better speeding tickets than what I can, but I can handle a crime scene better than they can.
I think the bottom line that we feel is that the kids were believed. I mean, but they had 20, 25 minutes before anyone arrived. Bill Kaiser told us that they let the kids sit in a room by themselves before they were talked to.
And
for a good period of time.
They're just not allowed to talk about what happened out there.
And they had a lot of time. And so, you know, I have a feeling you're going to get a lot of I don't knows. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But what we find very weird is that they remember what they were watching on TV, and they all remember that Will was eating combos. You know, we remember every second of that night. I wish I didn't. I remember everything. I find it hard to believe that something that traumatic would be forgotten. But I have a feeling that's what you're going to get.
Well, maybe initially, but let's hope that towards the end of it all, it won't be that way. And, you know, we got to be salesmen. We got to be able to try to convince them why they need to come clean with the truth. I mean, I'll never lie to anybody, but I may say, what if? What do you guys actually want done? You guys obviously want closure. That's priority number one. Do you want those persons held accountable?
You know, I wanted this done before we had to dig up our son.
Sure.
Now I'm angry.
Oh, absolutely.
We are angry that it's taken this long to get
where we're at. Yeah. Yeah, I understand.
This
we think
have to be,
people thought we were just grieving parents that just couldn't handle what happened.
Sure.
And
are you? Let me ask you this: are you guys comfortable with me going to these three people and saying, "Look, the family just wants closure. They're not too concerned."
I'll tell you, Captain Maggot and Kaiser both, acting as detectives, said if they're in the future. Captain Maggot sat right at my kitchen table and said, you know, these kids aren't very bright. They're going to slip up in the future. You know, he can't go any farther with it. Basically, he's telling us that we're shutting it down. I think it was Overmeyer telling him, close it down. Stop. That's it. They're not very bright. In the future, anything new comes up, we'll open this back up and we'll take off from there. Bill said the same thing as he's finishing up his report. Anything new, it'll be opened up. Well, there has been stuff new come up. We had Jake, it's a downward trajectory. That's huge. That's large. Brittany comes forth, tells us that she basically come forth and tell us why, when the gun gets fingerprinted, Jake's not going to have the last predominant fingerprint on that gun. She doesn't know any different. It's going to be, she knows who, obviously. It's not going to be Jake's. That's what she come there that night to tell us. It's not going to be Jake's print. Long story short. But I don't see Captain Maggot jumping in, starting up any investigation now. I don't see Bill. I don't see this prosecutor starting up any investigation now. I see Wilkie starting up, hiring you guys to step in. Because you said you're working for Wilkie's office, not Sandusky County Sheriff's Department.
No, not necessarily. I'm working it as a detective on behalf of the Sandusky County Sheriff's Office. The reason I got involved is because the coroner has made a coroner's inquest, which means the coroner has come to the sheriff and says, open this back up, let's find out for sure what really happened. So the sheriff decided at that point, okay, I gotta get Volcano on it.
So what you're telling me is Overmeyer opened this back up?
No, I don't think it ever truly closed.
I was told.
I can gather.
I was told that it was closed.
Who told you that? Captain Maggot told you that, and Bill Kaiser told you that, based on the idea that something new came up.
Captain Maggot said it was over. Yeah.
They probably told you that because they ran out of leads. Okay, and this is where, I hate to say it, and I hope I don't eat my words, but this is where you have your good investigators who are persistent and are bulldogs, and this is where you have your investigators just only take it so far. Then they realize, I'm done talking to this person for the third time, there's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
I'm done with it until the guy comes forward and confesses. Okay. Minus what you told me today, from Zach and I sitting down with it today, truly looking at it for the last hour and a half, 2 hours before coming here, we came to the conclusion that there's some major inconsistencies. There's a lot of stuff here that needs to be done that wasn't done from the very get-go. So, should Captain Mega have done it? Maybe. Why did he do it? Because he probably didn't know what to do. He probably didn't know how to do it. Could Bill Kaiser have done it? Bill's no longer a sworn officer. Bill Kaiser is just a retired detective with 25 years of service who now works part-time as an investigator on behalf of the sheriff's or the prosecutor's office.
So that's the best that Sandusky County prosecutor would do for us?
That's a question for the prosecutor. I can't answer on his behalf. Okay. Why Mr. Sturwall appointed Bill Kaiser and not a detective from within the sheriff's office, I don't know. It's a question for Tom. Okay, maybe Tom felt, well, this is a retired sheriff's deputy detective. He was good at what he did, and I felt he had the means of doing it. Okay.
I had hope. We both did.
Sure he did. Yeah, and I can understand why. Because of all the pushing that went on with the coroner's office, and I'm kind of glad it did, because it gave me the opportunity to jump on board and run with it. Because I'm not here to say I'm going to be able to solve it for you, okay? But I can tell you that I'll give it my best shot. And I feel pretty comfortable. I mean, I know going into some of these cases that, it's going to be a tough one. But this one's going to be a challenge. I wouldn't say tough, but it's going to be a challenge. But it's going to be all about inconsistencies. It's all about talking to the same person a couple different times, explaining to them what could happen, what's not going to happen, and whatnot. So if you get wind that I chatted with so-and-so, and so-and-so comes back and he says, hey, I talked to that O'Connell guy, and he says, you guys aren't wanting to do anything with it. There may be some truth to that, but it may not be the case, okay? Sometimes I gotta tell people what they want to hear in hopes to get the truth from them, okay, unfortunately. I can honestly say I'll never lie to them. That's where the what if. What if I were to tell you I had a witness? I didn't have a witness, but I'm telling them what if I had a witness. So they're thinking, the guy's got a witness, okay? So now they start to think, I better tell them now before I dig myself a bigger hole. Those are just some of the techniques and tactics that I like to use from time to time if I have to go down that road with them. And I can kind of see where I'm going to have some weak links that are going to come forward and probably tell me. They're not going to tell me the first interview, but they may tell me in the second or third interview. You know, you got to kind of bring yourself down to their level, sympathize with them, try to be their best friend, shed a tear with them if need to be, give them a hug, in hopes they're going to give you the information you need in return. You know, there's a lot of things being held right now within those three people that needs to come out. And once it comes out, they're going to feel a lot better for themselves. Yeah. And that's an approach that we could take.
You know, Will and Brittany came over 2 months after Jake died. And I remember trying not to go out I didn't when they were outside. And I don't know what to say. I didn't want to be around them. I didn't. But I did go out to get Ella. And I noticed Will was playing with Ella. That's our granddaughter, Jake's daughter. Mm-hmm. And when I looked at Will, he was crying. I don't know if it was, I don't know what. I just thought, he didn't know Jake. I mean, he really didn't know Jake.
There's a lot of guilt there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And people are afraid to come out with their guilt for fear of what's going to happen to them. They probably don't realize that if, worst case scenario for them, they're found responsible for doing this, are they going to go to prison for the rest of their lives? Probably not.
And, you know, we don't want that. We don't
yeah,
want
I know you don't. Okay, but I'm going to explain that to them. Look, it's not like you're going to jail. You know, you made a mistake. You got to owe up to your responsibilities, and that's what happened here. You're going to feel a lot better about yourself in the long run.
If you
do it for yourself, do it for your family.
If you get Bill's tape, or let them play that tape. I just said it. We are saying we don't want them to. We want the truth.
What though does happen? Aren't they charged no matter what with something?
Well, they probably. What will happen if I go to William, and William says, "I didn't mean to do it, but I did do it. I'm so sorry." Am I going to put handcuffs on him, take him away right now? Probably not. Yeah. What I'm going to do is confront with the prosecutor, and we're going to decide what to do with them at that point. Okay. Is it a matter of getting them treatment in lieu of a conviction? Because, you know, psychologically, they're all messed up now. So they're going to need some treatment for that, I'm sure. So let's help them, and let us come across like we're there to help them. We're not there to necessarily accuse them of doing something they should not have done. But here's your opportunity to help yourself, and here's your opportunity to help us in exchange for what we can do for you.
You can hear the remorse on the CD when you hear it, Zach. You'll hear it, and sure. you'll know what you'll kind of be able to put it together.
So, you know, I mean, we spent a lot of time here, and I think it was very, very productive. And I think we have a lot of good information to run with. And
there's more, but as we run with it, I'll get that to you, and
absolutely
want to take my cell phone number down.
Yep.
If you guys got cards,
please be sure to read that open letter that the points that were highlighted.
Yes, I will. Yep.
Those are.
I do have that.
Excellent points that are the top. I mean, those are the things that we're.
Oh.
My name's Mike Lamberius.
Yep.
And my cell number is 419.